Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back! Of course I'm back, I'm not going anywhere. Beast! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. I'm also a dumb ass, says my hat. Available in 2021, the album, Dad, Shimmy Shimmy, and Rock On Gold Dust. Boost! Woman! How are you guys doing today? Oh my Lord. Well, I really truly did not expect. I know there are people out there that are like, yeah, sure, Peter. I really truly, in all honesty, did not expect to make another Gabbie Hanna video today. Unless she put out another video of her series, which she has not done. But Tana Mojos told some truths in her podcast, her new podcast, which is called Canceled. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Before I do, I need to pop open my La Croix because I'm so thirsty and I've already drank my coffee for today. And I have it in my swig cup, which is not sponsored, but I do have a code with them, which is PeterMonn15. I will link it below so that you guys can go. So many people have reached out to me and sent me pictures of the ones that they bought. I love these, you guys. They keep your drinks cold for hours and hours and hours. So anyway, okay. I also need some lip gloss. Where's my lip gloss? When your lips are dry as mine, then we all know it's lunar beauty time. So, okay, let me get my lip gloss on and then let's talk about this. So, I started getting sent last night by so many people a clip from Tana Mojos' second episode on her new podcast, which is called Canceled, okay? And it is the one in which she has Trisha Paytas as a guest. And I started getting sent this clip at about the 25-minute mark where Tana Mojos starts talking about Gabbie Hanna. All right, now let's go back for just a second. I said in my video the other day that I didn't think that I would probably listen to this podcast because I didn't think that Tana Mojos was talented. I said that in my video, and I have to tell you that today I was like, if I'm going to do a video on this, I probably shouldn't just listen to that clip, that part of it. I should probably listen to the whole podcast, okay? So, I listened to the whole podcast today, and I have to say, whereas I don't really find Tana Mojos' YouTube videos and story times that entertaining, and I know a lot of people love her for that, I do have to say that I think that she might have found her calling when it comes to doing a podcast. I just tweeted this out too, and people were like, oh, this is surprising coming from you. I was super, super impressed with the podcast and the way that Tana Mojos handled it. I thought her as a host and as an interviewer on this podcast, I thought she did a fantastic job. I also thought that she did a really good job of keeping kind of on task of the things that she wanted to talk to Trisha Paytas about and not letting it go all into one direction or all into another direction. They actually talked about a lot of different things on here. So I want to give a little bit of a bravo, congratulations to Tana Mojos. And I guess I need to retract my statement and apologize and say, I'm sorry, Tana, that I said that about you. I do think you're talented when it comes to your podcast, and I was super impressed with the podcast. And I have to tell you, I can't believe that I'm about to say this. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to listen to the first episode later tonight. I have to say, I think I might be on board for listening to this podcast. I really, really enjoyed it, you know? And I was surprised, just like anybody out there. And I really think that you should give this podcast an opportunity. And I'm going to get into that in just a second. I also want to give a shout out really, really quick, okay? And that is to Dustin Daly. Dustin Daly is trying to do some new things on his channel. And he is doing missing persons, true crime, but really more, I think, focused on missing persons is what he told me, because that's the area that he's really interested in. Now, as you all know, if you've watched my channel long enough, you know, I got a true crime book club, okay? And a good G Mel and I, that we run this together, and as well as everybody else that's in the book club, one of the things that we talk a lot about when reading true crime is the importance of the author humanizing the victims and not focusing the attention on the crime or on the criminal, so to speak, and really paying homage to the victim or the missing person or whatever has happened. And I just want to say, I watched this video from Dustin last night, which was very, very short, and I thought that he got all the information in the video. I want you guys to go watch it. So I thought he did a fantastic job, and I think that he's going to start going more into this realm. He told me he's going to try to post several of these videos a week. I was so impressed, and I watch a lot of true crime documentary coverage, and I love Stephanie Harlow and Bailey Sarian, and I love Kendall Ray, and I watch all of that on YouTube as well, and I think that they each have their own style and way that they do it. I was so impressed with the way that Dustin humanized talking about this case, and even going in and talking about the family members and all this stuff, and even educating people on talking about the issues at hand. And like, I don't want to get into what his video is about whatsoever. I want you guys to go watch it. But I was blown away. I was really impressed. So I want to say congratulations to Dustin. I know this is something that he's been interested in for years. And I hope that this path is really successful for him because, I don't know, I watched it and I was like, this is really cool. Like, this is like, you know when you find somebody and they've kind of like found their niche a little bit in doing something that they absolutely love, and you can tell it by what they do. I was just really happy watching the video. So congratulations, Dustin, and I can't wait to watch more videos from you. All right, so let's get into this, talking about the Tana Mojo Trisha Paytas podcast. And I'm not going to just get right into the Gabbie Hanna thing, because I know that's what y'all want. Let me have a sip of my LaCroix, first of all. But anyway, so she goes on to say that she wants to, they talk a lot about why Trisha Paytas was her first guest that she wanted to have on there. And they go back and forth, this kind of thing of this very like ego stroking, kissing each other's ASSs about who's more relevant, who's been more canceled, and all this kind of stuff. It's actually kind of cute listening to it. And you can tell, and I mean, I've always known this, that Trisha Paytas, like, literally is like, she watches everything that goes on with YouTube and TikTok. I mean, she knows everything that's going on, right? So Tana Mojo's asking her all these questions about different things. They don't really get into a whole lot about the Frenemies podcast. At the very end, Tana does ask her something about, like, did you know that that was going to be, like, the last? Did you think it was going to end so quickly? And Trisha goes in and she gives very PR statements on it. I mean, she doesn't stir up any drama or anything like that. And I think that Trisha's probably past the point where she wants to do that. I really hope, because they just don't get into it a whole lot. And in fact, they didn't get into a whole lot of any of the things that I thought that they would talk about on here, you know? Not too deeply. But they did address, like, every situation that I think most people want to know about on some small level. And I was impressed that Tana Mojo was able to kind of keep, you know, them on point and talk about every issue that she thought that people would want to know about Trisha Paytas. I was impressed with that. At the very end, it's interesting because they apparently both had Jordan as a manager. Well, not apparently, I knew that. And Jordan is not their manager anymore. And so is not Tana's manager anymore. And Trisha asked Tana why Jordan was not her manager anymore. And Tana said, let me just ask you a question to answer that question. She said, does he owe you money? What? And then she said something about the professionalism of a manager is great, or something like that, and having a new manager. So I thought that was interesting a little bit. She's calling out Jordan and saying that Jordan didn't pay her money that she was owed and things like that. I will tell you one thing that you will find if you listen to this podcast is that you get a much more mature Tana Mojo than she presents on camera or in her Instagram stories or whatever. And they talked a lot about, like, being on brand. Like, they talked about OnlyFans at the beginning. And it was interesting to me because at 49 years old, there was this whole discussion about Tana Mojo wanting to have a sex tape released, right? And she even talked about the fact that her and Jake Paul had planned to, like, make a sex tape and then, like, sign some paper that either one of them couldn't release it and put it in escrow or something like that is what she said. I didn't really understand all that. But the idea of, I mean, this is nothing new, but it just kind of, like, it kind of cracks me up a little bit when you look back on the people that legitimately, like, their careers did start off of sex tapes. She, like, is planning a sex tape. Like, she wants to plan girl, that ain't how it works, you know? And I'm like, everything in 2021 with all these influencers and stuff is so fake, but I kind of love that they addressed it that way, and like they, you know. And one of the things that Tana says in there is that what she loved about the Frenemies podcast, and this is one of the things that I loved about the Frenemies podcast, was that Trisha and Ethan weren't afraid to tell their truths about their experiences with other people on YouTube and in that whole like industry world. And Tana said that she was for a long time really afraid to get on a podcast. She wanted to do a podcast for a long time. She co-hosts it with her friend Hunter, which anyway, so she said she was afraid to get on there for a really long time and do that because she was afraid of like telling truths on other people and whatever, which she does about Gabbie Hanna in this podcast. And I hope that she does more of that. You know, I kind of said something about that a couple years ago where I was like, I think these people are going to start turning on each other and telling stories about each other, and I'm here for it. I mean, I want to hear it. I want to hear about the phoniness that goes on behind the scenes, you know, and all the fakeness and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, there was a really sweet moment at the end of it. Hunter is a really great co-host as well, actually, on the not actually, he just really is a great co-host as well on the podcast. And at the end, Trisha is asking Tana and Hunter, like, did they ever date? Like, were they friends? You know, they're like, I don't really know what, you know, like, your status was as far as friends and stuff like that. And so Tana goes in and explains the whole background story between her and Hunter, and talking about how she knew that he was somebody that she just wanted to keep in her life, and therefore she couldn't mess that up by it, like, being so much more and all that kind of stuff. It was really a mature moment from Tana Mojo, and I'm like, now this Tana Mojo, if this is a grown-up version of Tana Mojo that she's going to start showing, and Trisha even said in the podcast, they said that, you know, like, that they were hoping that that was the direction that Tana would go in. I'm really hoping that this is the direction that Tana goes into. I think it's beneficial to Tana. I still think that she can be the wild Tana Mojo, maybe pulling it in a little bit, realizing that our audience is a little bit younger, but I was really impressed with this. Okay, so the 25-minute mark, Tana starts telling this story. They're talking about, like, people that have kind of, like, done them wrong in the YouTube world and whatever. And it's interesting because at the beginning, they're talking about, like, the first time that they ever met over, they, like, kind of exchanged, like, oh, I don't like that girl. And then the other one said, I don't like her either. And they don't say who it is, but at the end of it, Trisha says something about, like, when I first met you and you said you didn't like Gabbie, and I said I don't like her either. Okay, that was interesting. So anyway, they're going in, they're telling the story, or Tana's telling the story about being at Playlist when she was like 17 or 18, and there was some YouTuber that was trying to hook up with her, yada, yada, yada. She's telling the story, and she said that she recently got reached out to, and she bleeps it out who it is, but it sounds to me like maybe it's some kind of publication. I don't know, maybe it's some kind of online publication, something like that. That Gabbie Hanna allegedly was trying to sell this story about how this YouTuber had tried to hook up with Tana Mojo at Playlist Live, okay? And Tana was like, I'm just paraphrasing this, okay? Tana was like, you know, I haven't really thought much about that event since then, but basically in reference to everything that's happened with Gabbie and Jessie Smiles, but had that been my traumatic event, Gabbie Hanna's trying to sell that to, like, tell a story. And I'm like, this is a bigger issue than I think people realize. This is where, when people want to talk about, like, where they're defending Gabbie Hanna, and if this story is true, okay, which I can't imagine that Tana Mojo would get, I mean, I'm not saying that she hasn't lied in the past, but I can't imagine her coming out and making an allegation like this in a podcast that she knows a lot of people are going to listen to, especially because Trisha Paytas is on it. And Trisha Paytas and you know, Tana Mojo talking about Gabbie Hanna. A lot of people are going to talk about that moment. It's already all over Twitter, right? I can't imagine she would put that allegation out there if there weren't any truth to it. And Tana could come out and say, well, this is the publication that told me, you know? So take it up with the publication, because they're the ones that told me that you were trying to sell their story. If that is true, allegedly, and Gabbie Hanna is trying to sell the story of somebody else, something that they went through when they were 18 or younger, like, let's talk about that for a second. This is, again, Gabbie Hanna. And I think this is what people don't understand with the whole Jessie Smiles story and why the Jessie Smiles story is such a big deal. You know, I received a lot of comments from people that are like, if Jessie Smiles wants to forgive Alex James over this situation, that's on her. This has never been Gabbie's to dictate who Jessie Smiles forgives, who Jessie Smiles doesn't forgive, when Jessie Smiles tells her story. And I said on here, if Jessie Smiles wants to get in a video or on Twitter and whatever, and she wants to tell her story 15 times a day, every single day for the next 6 years, that is her right, because this is something that happened to Gabbie, or this is something that happened to Jessie Smiles, not Gabbie Hanna, right? But Gabbie Hanna continues and continues and continues to talk about this, right? And I said something the other day about how yesterday, I think, about how Jessie Smiles had not responded to this. And I started getting a lot of messages from people, some people saying, yeah, you're right, but she did pin this comment on her YouTube video. So I wanted to read this comment that Jessie Smiles had pinned on her last video, okay? And this is the video, hold on a second, let me pull it up. The video called Gabbie Hanna Will Never Stop. It was posted 4 weeks ago and it has 5.1 million views. I don't know if she turned the likes to dislikes ratio. No, she has it on. It has 315,000 likes and 3.4 thousand dislikes, and she has her comments on, of which she has 21,000. So unlike Gabbie Hanna, Jessie Smiles can't handle, apparently, the truth of when people, whatever they have to say. So anyway, this is the comment that Jessie Smiles made underneath the video. I will absolutely, under no circumstances, be addressing Gabbie any longer. I don't care if she continues to post 2,819,066 videos about me. I don't care what people think I should do in response. I made this video with a very clear intention and made sure to say and show my truth for the parts of the situation that truly hurt and mattered to me. If I dedicated any more of my time to combating every lie Gabbie has and continues to tell about our friendship, I'd never be free of the situation. The back and forth would never end. There are always more screenshots either one of us could show. There's always more context. It has to end somewhere. My only solution here is to do what most people are waiting for either Gabbie or myself to do right now, and that's end this. This is a situation that hurts and triggers many people beyond just me. I refuse to prolong it any further. Gabbie can have the last word. I'm going to enjoy my life and spend time with people I love, and very soon welcome my beautiful daughter into this world. Thank you to those of you who have taken the time to listen. And, you know, I think that's interesting that that was the comment that she made, and she's like, I am not going to be responding to this anymore. Now, for those of you, ow, damn it, Janet, I just opened my reading glasses right. I was getting so serious, and thanks, my Lord. I opened my reading glasses right on the skin of my finger. Ow! Damn it. Anyway, for those of you that are like, well, Gabbie Hanna hasn't stirred this up anymore. Gabbie Hanna hasn't done this, done that, whatever anymore. Gabbie Hanna most certainly has. Okay, so right here, if you go to her Twitter from 3 days ago, or 2 days ago, right after she released the video, her last video, because 4 parts about Jessie Smiles, Instagram stories, TikToks, that's not enough. She then, after she posts the video, has to come on to Twitter and tell more truths about Jessie Smiles. Okay. I can't begin to express how good it feels to finally just defend myself and get this all out there. When I came into this, it wasn't about trying to get people on my side. It was about speaking the truth and not allowing them to continue to silence me from their abuse. Therapists, hold on a second, there's more. So now I've said what I feel like I need to say and shown what I think is relevant. I'm not the type to get into all the personal details of how 2 people hurt each other 6 years ago, but I did need to... What? You didn't get into the personal details? Okay. But I did need to stand up to my... she keeps on calling her an abuser, which I have. Therapists, counselors, friends, and family all warn me that victims usually aren't believed, especially at first, and especially in such a strange situation between 2 women who barely know each other. But the important part is to me to speak the truth and stop giving them permission to use the victim. And this is where she tags the video that she posted. I'm free because I'm finally able to speak for myself. I'm not worried about others' opinions, which have always been a struggle. I'm no longer at the mercy of strangers online. They no longer scare me. I'm able to let go and rebuild and start writing my next chapter in life. Blackheart, I'm free. And then somebody tweeted, I think I'm on Gabbie's side right now. Now hold on a second, okay? I'm free because I'm finally able to speak for myself. I'm not worried about others' opinions. She's not worried about anybody else's opinion. Now, an opinion isn't just necessarily against you. It can be for you as well. But she's not worried about the other people's opinions, okay, which has always been a struggle. She's no longer at the mercy of strangers. Go up to the next tweet, which is right after that. Somebody tweeted out, Other person's opinion, I think I'm on Gabby's side, and she retweeted it and put a black heart with a crying emoji. She obviously does care about the opinions of others, okay? Now she says she doesn't care about the opinions of others, and then somebody made this video where it looks like Jessie is contradicting herself, and she retweeted it. So apparently she still does at that point care about the opinions of others. Apparently she's not free yet because she's still tweeting this stuff out. Then she goes on to show this picture that she painted for 16 hours straight yesterday. I went in, she was doing this live stream the other night. Somebody tagged me in it, so I went over and I watched like 15 minutes of this live stream. You know, this is what's interesting to me. And, you know, like I go into all this trying to be completely fair. I've had a lot of fans reach out to me and say, fans of Gabbie's. I was a huge Gabbie Hanna fan, but like this is not what I want from her. Even if she thinks this is what she needs to do, this is not what I want from her, you know? And I like the story times, and I like this. And I was watching this the other night, and she was painting a picture, and she was singing songs that like didn't make it to her album. There was one that she was talking about, and it was about a woman cutting her hair and then going to the gym and all this kind of stuff. I can't remember what the song was, but I really liked the song. I really, really liked it. And Gabbie's voice was beautiful, just sitting there in the room, just singing to herself. And she seemed so content in that moment. And I was like, I think this is the Gabbie Hanna that people have fallen in love with. Now, I didn't watch any more of that because I'm just not a huge fan of Gabbie Hanna. But I did watch that moment, and people were giving her a lot of nice compliments. There was nobody coming in there really giving her harsh comments. And she was getting a lot of support from people. She really wasn't paying attention to the comments because she was just painting and talking and telling stories and stuff like that. And I think that that is what people fell in love with. I hope that she does not ruin her career over this, and that by the time that the series is said and done, that Gabbie Hanna is able to go back to what she truly, truly loves, okay? Which is apparently painting and making music and telling stories, I guess, which I think that's great. I love a storyteller, you know? I consider myself one, and I love that, right? But like, I think all of this, and this is not just for Gabbie Hanna, but this is for anybody. When you feel a constant need to defend yourself to all of the wrongdoings that have happened to you in your life, not just one, not just two, but all of them, okay? And you victimize yourself to that. At some point, you cloud your own happiness. You mute your own happiness because I just have a hard time believing how she puts this out there. She drops this bomb, which is doing devastation on all these people, right? Even if it is true, her side of it. And then it's like she goes on and just paints for 16 straight hours, okay? Like, I don't know, it was 16 straight hours for painting. As somebody that wrote a book, and I wrote for many hours straight in a row, I can't even imagine writing for 16 straight hours. So 16 straight hours, whew. I won't use the word, but there's a word for that, okay? Then she puts this video up where she's singing and she's drinking a glass of wine, and she says, after all you put me through, don't say it wasn't true, that you were not the monster that I knew, okay? Yet again, people are saying that she's subtweeting Jessie Smiles and all this kind of stuff, right? But she's let it go. She's free of it now, right? Then somebody said, at Gabbie Hanna, does a nobody like me saying, hey, I believe you, help you at all? Or even saying, hey, I see you and I think you're a nice and kind, aware person? I really hope so. And she said, yes, it means the world. All your support has meant the world to me. My social media manager has been forwarding me your tweets, emails, and DMs. So now she has somebody, what she's saying, that is in control of her media, social media, so she doesn't even read her own Twitter, is what she's saying. Get ready, okay? Because she said, my social media manager has been forwarding me your tweets, emails, and DMs. Which means that she doesn't read her own stuff, I guess, okay? I did this for my own piece, but knowing that so many are finally seeing the truth gives me so much strength and motivation to create. You know, somebody said on my video the last time I did it, they said, if Gabbie Hanna was really doing this for her own peace of mind, she would have no need to release this to the world. She would have no reason to release this and tell on anybody or whatever, because it would just be good enough for her to film it for herself. You know, like a lot of people that write poetry and all that kind of stuff. I really think that Gabbie Hanna using these words, such as abuser and all this kind of stuff, I feel like that is her way of really connecting with her audience that has gone through similar things in their life. And therefore, if it's relatable to them, then they're like, oh wow, like I went through something similar, so then Gabbie must be telling the truth. And that's where, to me, I feel like it's manipulative, okay? I feel like it's manipulative of her audience to take a story and spin it to the tune that, like, wow, all these other people out there, because there's a lot of people out there that have gone through 100 times worse things. And like I said in my video the other day, I really feel like she is minimizing the definitions of these words by having people go through all this stuff, okay? I'm not saying that what she's gone through is easy, but let's be honest. Gabbie Hanna has had a part in all of this, okay? I think that that's been shown at this point. So, I mean, at what point do you take your toys and go home because you realize, wow, the only thing I can do is clean up my side of the street, okay? So then Gabbie Hanna, now, you know, she responded to this person even though she doesn't care about the opinions of others and she's free. She doesn't need, she continues and continues and continues to address this. Someone said, it's like they all didn't grow up with narcissistically abusive parents, and it shows. And she said, I believe you, always have. Someone said, a lot of the supportive messages I got from other victims of narcissistic abuse. Well, of course it is. You're speaking right to them, okay? When I get in a video and I talk about being in recovery, do you think I don't get comments from people that are in recovery? Do you don't think I get DMs and emails from people that are struggling with addiction? Of course I do. They relate to that about me. You know, Gabbie, I don't understand why you don't see that. My goal in sharing my story is to help other people, to see that there are people out there that are having an enjoyable life that are not a glum lot. That's why I share my story of being in recovery. That's why I talk about addiction, because I am so completely passionate about it on and offline that I want people to heal as a result of that. I want people to see a face that they can connect with and say, hey, if Peter can do it, I can do it too, okay? It's one thing to do that and share your story. It's another thing to have people relate to it so then they go, oh, I believe you because of that. I don't know, I just, like, it bothers me. So then she said, I feel like I need to announce this. This was 10 hours ago. Why she hasn't done it yet, if it was 10 hours ago, I don't know. I feel like I need to announce this because if I don't, people will read too far into it. I'm privating my Twitter and Instagram. It's not that deep. Just want to keep it to people who are here for the music and art, is what she says. So apparently she is privating her Twitter and her Instagram. So, okay, I guess. Now, if you want it to just be about your music and your art, are you going to continue the series? Is the series just going to be music videos? I don't know. At this point, it just seems like a lot to me. And I think it's interesting. Do you think that she'll address what Tana Mojos said? You think she'll come out and tell the truth on that? Or will there be 15 emails and 15 DMs that she shows, that she puts all that stuff out? I wanted to read this meme, and actually this is interesting because I saw this meme on Twitter or on Instagram. Hold on, where's my receipts, Whitney? I saw this on Instagram a couple weeks ago, and I forgot to screenshot it, I guess. But then my good Jenny Tanya happened to just post it on Facebook last night, and I loved it. So I just screenshotted it. And it says, manipulation is when they blame you for your reaction to their disrespect. Just something to think about. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.